Yeah, this is the 170-year-old man. I'm not really 170, but if I was 170 years old, the year was 2110, this is how I would be reminiscing. Alright, 100 years ago, stop signs and don't turn right signs, etc. were up so high behind trees you couldn't see them. 100 years ago, people had car accidents. 100 years ago, people used oil to power their vehicles. 100 years ago, people waited an hour or more to pay a toll on bridges and tunnels because the governors and mayors couldn't figure out a way to collect their tolls. They had things called Easy Pass, but they should have called it Hard Pass. Didn't really work that well. There were traffic jams because politicians were too greedy and the engineers were too wimpy to accommodate the volume of people. Roads were built with no breakdown lanes for the same reasons. Cars had no anti-collision systems. People drove boats on pristine waterways using gas-powered vehicles instead of electric. And they polluted all the nice lakes and rivers and so on. Most annoying expression was, "Have a nice day," or "Have a good one." People would call up on the radio, talk shows, and they'd say, "How are you?" The host would say, "Well, how are you?" "Oh, how are you? I listen to you all the time." Next thing you know, it was a commercial. That was the end of the show. Instead of just saying what they had to say. 100 years ago, nightclub singers and bands made way more money than top engineers and doctors and many other smart people. Actors made way more than the President of the United States or other smart people. People went to restaurants and ate really bad food and got really bad service and still left a tip. 100 years ago, people lived anywhere, no matter how bad it was, and they bragged about it. 100 years ago, people listened to the most average, mediocre music and clapped. People actually bought CDs and records to listen to music. 100 years ago, when you talked to people, 36% actually heard what you were saying. 100 years ago, supermarkets and department stores played this mediocre rock and roll music because they thought you wouldn't buy food if they didn't play this music. Or lumber. No. People left expensive cars at train station parking lots instead of using a cheap little electric station car. So the car would get all beat up by the weather. They didn't seem to care. 100 years ago, people listened to radio or TV full of commercials that were so almost as long as the programming. 100 years ago, when the cashier was saying next person online, when they opened a new register, people from the back of the line would just run ahead of the people that were waiting rudely because they were in a big hurry. And another thing they did at the stores, they left their shopping carts all over in parking spaces because they were in a big hurry to get home. They did lots of other stuff 100 years ago you just wouldn't believe. You just would not believe the stuff people did 100 years ago. And that's all I have to say right now. That's part one. Part two, I think, will be coming up soon.